As you can probably tell, this is going to be no ordinary car review. That's because, well, this is no ordinary car. Now I know it's based on the new Mercedes-Benz S-Class, which we've reviewed twice. And yes, we've reviewed super luxury sedans like it before. But this new Mercedes-Maybach S-Class, well, it does things a little bit differently. And therefore, it's only fitting that we do things a little bit differently too. Before we go ahead though, if you want to see more luxury cars like the Maybach S-Class, why not subscribe to Autocar India? We have great videos here every day. And tell us in the comments what you think about this car. Is it the ultimate expression of everything Mercedes-Benz? So as you might have noticed, I shut the door with a pull of a button. That means the rear doors are now servo operated and powered. You can also open it with a push of a button and it will detect if there is traffic coming from behind, flash the light at you as a warning and stop the door in its path. However, there is also a gesture setting that Mercedes likes to call the royal wave. Check this out. It's a finicky system and a gimmicky one too, if we're being honest, but after a few tries you might get it right. However, the most impressive thing back here has nothing to do with tech at all. This car has loads more space even than the standard S-Class, and the standard S-Class that we get in India is already the long wheelbase version. This one, it has 180 mm more in the wheelbase than even that car. So plainly, you have loads of space to stretch out, cross your legs, and it doesn't stop there. Like the regular S, this one of course has the chauffeur package, which lets you push the front passenger seat forward at the touch of a button for even more legroom. But I assure you, you'll never need it. Now you might not notice just by looking at it, but you certainly will if you take your shoes off and dig your toes in. This car has far thicker pile carpets than the standard S-Class. It really is a small but luxurious touch that makes a world of a difference. Now lots of cars have fancy hi-fi systems, but this one, it's a high-tech system. Now Burmester hi-fi systems have become synonymous with high-end Mercedes-Benz cars, and of course it's no different over here. This one is the Burmester 4D system, which we saw in the original launch edition S-Class. It's back here, and that means it also has resonators inside the seats that thump to the beat of whatever music you're listening to, really involving you in the experience. But this Maybach version, it goes one step further. And that's because, like your high-end headphones, it features noise cancellation. That's right, it takes the sound from outside and plays anti-noise to help make the cabin even more silent than it already is. Now, of course, this being a Maybach, as you might expect, the quality in here is just so rich. I mean, there's this lovely suede effect for the roof liner. Everything is wrapped in quilted leather. And even just the craftsmanship of everything is just so good. In fact, the seats are draped in something called Napa exclusive Maybach leather, which is just that little bit fancier than the standard S-Class leather. It's even got what Mercedes calls the extended leather package. That means even things like these grab handles are wrapped in stitched leather. Just that little bit extra. You'd already expect an S-Class to be one of the safest cars around, and well, it is, but with this Maybach version, they've taken it up just another notch. There are 13 airbags in this car, and new are these 2 airbags in the backs of the front seats. So frontal airbags for the rear passengers and also belt bags. That's right, airbags inside the seat belt that inflate to protect your chest in the event of an impact. What do they think of next, right? What features does it have? Nothing but the best of them. And Mercedes has piled in stuff that helps make you more comfortable, including heating, cool and massage for all 4 seats. And screens? Oh, you bet there are screens, and 3 of them are in the back. Now, an ironic disadvantage of the longer wheelbase is that this beautiful screen is just a little bit further away from you. Yes, you have this other tablet controller to operate things from, but really, that's where it's at. You see, with this new MBUX system, the latest version, this has now become a touchscreen, and it is just so sharp and slick to use. There's loads of apps, there's loads of info you can access, and pretty much everything you can do up there, you can do back here. I could just sit here all day, couldn't I? And frankly, that's exactly what the owner of such a car could find themselves doing. But in the interest of chauffeurs everywhere, I'm now going to tell you what it's like from behind the wheel. Now, since most of this car's goodies are in the back seat, I honestly didn't think I'd have a lot to tell you about from the driver's seat of this Maybach S580, but I was wrong. The engine, amazingly, is perhaps the least interesting part about the package. Yes, it's a 4-litre twin-turbo V8 with 503 horsepower and 700 Newton meters, and that sounds great. It even has its origins in AMG. But here in this Maybach, it seems that it would rather you didn't know it was there at all. It's so hushed and refined, working in the background to give you effortless performance. You barely realize how fast you're going until that speed beep comes on, like so, and then you're reminded to come back down below the speed limit. In fact, the only time you'd ever hear a slight murmur from the V8 is if you went for a high-speed overtake. And even then, it's the merest suggestion of a murmur. In fact, that active noise cancelling in the Burmester hi-fi system, it really does seem to be working. This car really locks out pretty much everything around you. Now, not that it matters very much, but we did test this car from 0 to 100 kph. And despite all that mass, it does have a lot of power and torque. And all-wheel drive, remember. And it managed to crack 0 to 100 in 5 seconds dead. So even when it's going fast, it's impressive. Then of course, I have to talk about the ride. This car of course has air suspension, just like the regular S-Class does, but it also has a special Maybach mode for the suspension, which makes it even softer. There's a floaty waftiness to this car that the S-Class, the regular S-Class at least, doesn't have. And that just puts it in a slightly different league of luxury car. You might find that a little too soft, in fact, for certain conditions, especially when the road does have a little undulation to it. And then you can put it in standard comfort mode or even in sport mode. Yes, this Maybach has a sport mode. Now no, you won't be using this mode to carve up some corners, don't even dream of it. But you might find yourself using it to add some more control to the suspension when you want to travel faster, because both comfort and Maybach modes are simply too soft for high speed. What would have helped matters here is Mercedes' superb e-active body control system that scans the road ahead and adjusts the suspension in real time for perfect ride quality. But alas, you don't get that on the Maybach S-Class in India. But let's be honest, this is a car your chauffeur is most likely going to be driving, not you. The good news though is Mercedes has made things a whole lot more luxurious in the front seat as well. You now get heating, cooling and massage functions for both front seats. The steering wheel is wrapped in this wood trim, which is quite nice to hold. The seat bolsters actively cushion you in the corners. They hold you in place as you go around bends so that you don't roll about, which is very nice. And of course, there are those helpful hints that come through the active ambient lighting to give you warnings and tell you when you've changed the temperature, which is a little gimmicky, but kind of cool, I guess. But what about things your chauffeur will have to be a little wary of? Well, for one, it's the length of this car. It is noticeably longer from behind the wheel than the regular S-Class long wheelbase that we have in India. You have to be really careful when making lane change maneuvers and also when trying to take a U-turn. What doesn't help matters is that this S580, the locally assembled one, doesn't have rear wheel steering. Now, this is a car that would really have benefited from it, because maneuverability does become quite an issue in traffic or when you're parking. Your chauffeur will also have to be really careful when going over speed breakers, because this car's wheelbase is so long, it pretty much scrapes on anything larger than regular size. And if you live here in Maharashtra, it's only a matter of time before you encounter one of those huge truck stopping bumps that will definitely hit the underside of this car. Yes, of course, you can raise the air suspension, but it's a bit of a faff going into the touchscreen, finding the settings, lifting it up, by which time you'll already have crossed the speed breaker belly first. As much as I'd have liked to see larger 20 or 21 inch wheels on this Maybach S-Class, I am also kind of glad that they went with 19 inch wheels, because it really has an effect on the ride. It adds that added layer of smoothness that Mercedes just couldn't seem to do with its 20 inch wheels. You can of course spec larger wheels at the dealership when you buy this car, so if style is of priority, you can definitely go ahead and do that. Also, as you might expect from an S-Class in 2022, this car does come with a host of sensor-based ADAS driver assist tech. Now, it is very cool to try and use it, but let's be honest, in everyday driving on Indian roads, it's more trouble than it's worth because of the erratic nature of our roads and our traffic. But back to the tech that perhaps matters more, the stuff that works to make you more comfortable. In Maybach mode, this car will actually start in second gear just to ensure that you get off the line smoothly. How about that? It's also here from the driver's seat that you can see that this Maybach bonnet is really different from the standard S-Class. That chrome strip, it's not just stuck on, the whole bonnet is different. It's like a fin on the center of the bonnet, and it really looks classy from behind the wheel. The rest of the cabin, yes, it's very much S-Class with a mix of modern tech and classic luxury. But this being the Maybach version and how much you're paying for it, I'd really hope there was a bit more scope for customization. Unfortunately, in this locally assembled S580, you can't customize much at all. You can choose from 3 upholstery colors, this beige, all black and brown, but that's about it. Moreover, this checkered trim that they've used on the center console and dashboard, it looks kind of cool, but I personally don't think it's befitting a Maybach. It's more AMG really. A nice glossy slab of lacquered wood, I think, would have worked a whole lot better. So the interior design isn't too far removed from the standard S-Class, and though you might think it looks similar on the outside too, let me assure you, in the metal, all that extra length and extra chrome will let everyone know you've arrived. Now yes, there's the matter of putting its price into perspective. 2.5 crore rupees ex-showroom for this locally assembled S580 makes it almost 1 full crore more than the regular S-Class diesel. That's a 60% jump. However, you soon realize that there's nothing else in the super luxury sedan market at this price range. You would have to fork out considerably more for a Bentley or a Rolls. So the Maybach really has this little niche all to itself. Moreover, this car is sold out until October, and if you want the imported S680 V12 which costs 3.2 crore, well, that's sold out for all of 2022. So clearly it's already a hit, but is it a worthy step up from an S-Class? For the rear seat space alone, yes it is. Add to that the silky smooth petrol V8 and all the new luxury tech, and you see where your money's been spent. Yes, there should have been more personalization options, and that overly soft high-speed ride is a point of contention. But for its price, this S580 is a great upgrade for those who feel that limousines, not SUVs, are still the ultimate in luxury motoring.